Hi, it's Paul from howtoplaybassdotcom. Today's video we're going to learn how to play I'm the Man by Joe Jackson, bass line originally played by Graham Maby. Now this is a very up-tempo tune, it's about 168 beats per minute, very eighth note driven. The notes that are being played, apart from a few bars in the guitar solo, aren't that tricky. What's the issue is the speed at which you have to play them. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have this lesson where we just teach the notes, play through it slowly and go through it note by note as I normally do. I'm going to record another lesson hopefully tomorrow showing how you can use songs to audit your technique and work out what holes you've got in your technique and then progress and start fixing those holes. Now before we go to the first part of this tune, which is the intro, if you're not a subscriber to my free monthly e-zine, click on the link underneath the video if you're watching on YouTube, head over to my website and subscribe. There's an exclusive monthly song tutorial in PDF and video formats for subscribers, plus there's a sequence of 4 song tutorials that again are exclusive to people who subscribe as a thank you for saying for subscribing to the newsletter list. So go and do that and then come back and then let's go and look at the intro. First section of I'm the Man we're going to look at is the intro. This is an 8-bar section. The basic 2-bar pattern that makes up the bulk of this 8-bar section will also come across again in the chorus and in the outro. So let's play with the metronome. Metronome set to 130, original tempo is 168. 2, 3, 4. Of the verse. So let's look at the notes of that 2-bar pattern. What you've got is open E string, G sharp, 4th fret of the E string, A, 5th fret of the E string, B, 7th fret of the E string, and D, 5th fret of the A string. And here's the sequence of notes and how many times you play each note. So 3 open E strings, then a G sharp, 4th fret of the E string, then 3 A's, the 5th fret of the E string, then a B at the 7th fret of the E string, then 3 D's, 5th fret of the A string, then another B, the 7th fret of the E string, 3 A's again, 5th fret of the E string, and a G sharp, 4th fret of the E string to finish. So 3 E's, G sharp, A 3 times, B, D, B, A, G sharp, E, G sharp, A, B, D, B, A, G sharp. And that's the basic pattern. It plays that pattern 3 times and then the last 2 bars are almost, in fact they are identical repeats of the 2nd bar. So this phrase, which is D, 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 B, A, B, just repeats that twice. So you'd get the 8-bar phrase, again do it the metronome, 3, 4. Back to the D pattern. And then you'd be on to the next section, which is the verse. So do work with that section, work with all these sections slowly, and then move on to the next section, which is the verse. Okay, the verse is, there's basically, for the first 2 verses, there's 4 bars where you just play E, the 7th fret of the A string, in 8th notes. And you get that, it's kind of like almost like an intro to the verse before the vocal actually starts. So what I'm going to do now is play from where the vocal actually starts. So if you listen to the original, you'll hear there's those 4 bars of just E at the 7th fret of the A string. The verse itself is a 16-bar pattern. I'll play it through and then we'll talk through it. 2, 3, 4. C sharp is the first note of the pre-chorus. Okay, so we'll split that 16 bars down into two 8-bar sections. The first 4 bars are pretty simple. They're mostly a repeat of just the E at the 7th fret of the A string, apart from the 3rd bar where the first 4 notes are, which is 3 open E's and a B at the 7th fret of the E string. So there's 4 bars would be like this: 3, 4. So pretty straightforward. Then the next bar, the 5th bar of the verse, is a pattern that you should be familiar with from the intro. 3 D's, a B, 3 A's, and another B. 5th, 7th, and 5th frets. 5th fret of the A string for D, 7th fret of the E string for B, 5th fret of the E string for A, back to B. Then the next bar, you've got 5 open E strings, and then a chromatic pattern from G sharp to A sharp, 4th, 5th and 6th frets of the E string. Then you've got a bar of B in 8th notes, 7th fret of the A string, and a bar of A, 5th fret of the E string. Sorry, I think I said 7th fret of the A string for B. So I'll just play those 4 bars with the metronome. 2, 3, 4. Okay, then let's look at the second 8 bars. Now the first 4 bars of the second 8 bars of the verse are identical to the first time through. So you've got 2 bars of E at the 7th fret of the A string. Then you've got 3 open E's and the B at the 7th fret of the E string. And then another half a bar of E at the 7th fret, and then another full bar. And then where it varies is the last 4 bars. You've got the same pattern on D again. And then the next bar, you've got the same pattern, but we have to play it in a different location. We have to play 5 open E's, G sharp, 4th fret of the E string again, open A sharp, 1st fret of the A string, and that sets up you moving your hand to here for the last 2 bars, which are in a B. So you've got 4 B's, 2nd fret of the A string, another B, F sharp, 2nd fret of the E string, B, F sharp, B, F sharp, B, F sharp, B, C natural, 3rd fret of the A string, and then that leads you nicely to C sharp, which is the first note of the pre-chorus. So I'll just play those last 4 bars. 3, 4. And that pattern there, that's a pattern you'll hear. It's a common rock pattern. It actually comes from, as most of these things do, from the work of James Jameson, the Motown great. If you listen to the Elvis Costello tune Radio, you hear Bruce Thomas using this pattern a lot in the kind of the pre-chorus of that tune. It sounds really great, so check that out. So that's the verse. You should be able to get that from the detailed explanation I've given. In verse 2, there is an octave variation when you hit the A the first time. But I'm going to leave that for now, otherwise this video is just going to end up being too long because we've got the guitar solo to get through. Let's go and look at the next section of the tune, which is the pre-chorus. Okay, the pre-chorus of the tune really breaks up the driving 8th note rhythm of the tune in the first 2 bars of each 4-bar section. There's 8 bars in this pre-chorus. Play it with the metronome and we'll talk through it. 2, 3, 4. Into the chorus, which we'll do obviously in a moment. Okay, so it starts on C sharp. So you've got C sharp, 4th fret of the A string, B, a passing note, 2nd fret of the A string, 2 open A strings, and then B again, and repeats that. And then the 3rd bar of the pre-chorus, you've got 6 open E's, then a G sharp, 4th fret of the E string, open A string, 4th bar is, so you've got 5 B's, 2nd fret of the A string, F sharp at the 2nd fret of the E string, B again, C natural, 3rd fret of the A string. Then the second 4 bars, the first 2 bars are pretty similar. You've just got some extra 8th notes on that A, open A note. And then the last 2 bars, you've got a root 5th pattern from B and then from D. So you're playing 2 Bs, 2 F sharps, 2nd and 4th frets of the A and D strings respectively. Repeat that, and then take that pattern and slide it up to D. So you're playing 2 Ds, 5th fret of the A string, 2 A's, 7th fret of the D string, repeating that. And then you're into the I'm the Man chorus. Next section of the tune, let's go look at that. Okay, the I'm the Man chorus, built off the riff we looked at in the intro. I'll play it with the metronome, then we'll go through it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you'll be back to that 8th note section on E. So you should be familiar with the intro, you should have gone through that figure. So it uses that basic 2-bar figure 3 times without variation. Except the last, on the 3rd time, the last and note of the 6th bar is a B rather than a G sharp, B 7th fret of the E string, and then the last 3 bars so what you've got is 3 open E's, G sharp, 4th fret of the E string, 3 A's, 5th fret of the E string, open E, D, 5th fret of the sorry, brain gone mad, 5th fret of the A string, and then you've got a slide into C sharp, the 11th fret of the D string, and then to B, which you hold at the 9th fret of the D string, holds, and then you come back in with the pattern, the pedalling pattern on E, and then you be into verse 2. Now, the next section that we want to go and look at is the my favourite part of the song is the guitar solo. So let's go look at that section. Guitar solo is 28 bars long. It's based around a figure pedalling on E with some variations. What I'm going to do is break it down into 8-bar sections, teaching it in 8-bar sections, and the last section will just be a 4-bar section. Here's the first 8-bar section. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is relatively easy, this section. First bar, just a bar of E in 8th notes. Okay, the second bar, what you've got is 3 E's at the 7th fret of the A string, then a B at the 7th fret of the E string, 3 open E's, G sharp, 4th fret of the E string. Third bar, another bar of E's. Fourth bar, you've got this figure, which is E, B, E, E, 7th fret of the A and E strings respectively. That's repeated. Okay, then the 5th bar, you've got that figure again. The 6th bar, you've got E, B, E, E, D, D, C sharp, B, D, D, 5th frets of the A string, C sharp, 4th fret, B, 7th fret of the E string. 7th bar of this section, just open, sorry, not open strings, just E at the 7th fret of the A string, and then the 8th bar of this section, you've got that pattern again, you've got 4 E's, then that pattern of E, B, E, E. So that's the first section. Okay. Here's the second 8 bars of the guitar solo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, The first 4 bars is a pattern that's repeated 4 times. You've got 4 E's, 7th fret of the A string, G sharp at the 6th fret of the D string, back to E at the 7th fret of the A string, A at the 7th fret of the D string, to G sharp, 6th fret of the D string. Okay, so 4 bars of that. Then the 5th bar of the second 8 bars is the same. Then the 6th bar of the second 8 bars, you've got E, C sharp, D, D sharp, which is 7th, 4th, 5th and 6th frets of the A string. Then we've got a variation pattern. It's almost like the pattern that we've just learned is coming in early. So you've got 2 E's, G sharp, E, A, G sharp, E, E, and then you've got G sharp, E, A, E, and 4 E's to finish off the 8th bar. So those last 4 bars go. Okay, that's the second 8 bars. We're going to look at the last 12 bars together because there's a nice build-up that goes on. Play it with the metronome and we'll talk through it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Solo and back to the pedal on E. Okay, let's look through that section. First 2 bars, same pattern repeated. It's 2 E's, 2 C sharps at the 6th fret of the G string, 2 E's, 2 D's, 7th fret of the G string. Repeat that, and then we've got the pattern that we learnt in the previous section. Okay. 6 bars is where you get this build up. Again, we start with this pattern: 2 E's, 2 C sharps, 2 E's, 2 D's. It's then repeated, and then here's where it starts getting interesting. Okay, so what you've got is you've got these last 4 bars. You go 2 E's, C sharp, E, D, E, 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 C sharp, E, and then you've got a last bar on the high E, 9th fret of the G string. And then the note that leads is B, the 9th fret of the D string, and then you're into pedaling on E for the verse, 7th fret of the A string. The one difference there is that you're straight into the vocal when you come out of the guitar solo. So go through that section carefully, start playing it slowly. It will make sense, and you just play it in sections and learn it and piece it together. And then the only other kind of thing you need to learn is there's a 2-bar ending on the outro, which is the basic. It's that basic riff, but there's a slight variation on the last bar of the ending, and let's just go and look at that. Okay, the outro is a simple variation of the main pattern that we've looked at. And now in this outro, Graham Maby is vamping a bit and putting in some variation, so you can do that. Or the other thing you can do to just keep it simpler for now is to play that basic riff. So you play that 4-bar pattern 6 times, and then on the 7th time, this is what you play to finish. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's look at that. So the first time, this is on the 7th time through. The first 2 bars are as you've already learned. And then the last 2 bars, 3 open E's, sharp, 3 A's, B. So far what we've learned, and then here's the variation pattern, one of my favourite variations. What you've got is 2 D's, 5th fret of the A string, 2 C sharps, 4th fret of the A string, 2 more D's at the 5th fret, 2 D sharps at the 6th fret, an E that's held for a bar, and then a stab on E. They're both the 7th fret of the A string. That's a really nice fill, a really great way to connect 2 notes that are a tone apart, so D and E. Again, another motif or device that you'll find in the work of the great James Jamerson. But that's I'm the Man. It is the notes itself. It's not a tricky tune. What's tricky is the tempo that the notes are played at. So with each section, go play with a metronome, start it slowly, and work each section slowly up to tempo.